All right, this is Ruben Lowing. I've always wanted to have impact on people. I wanted to somehow be able to help them, benefit their lives, or whatever, right? But I'm like, what do I have to give? I don't have a PhD. I don't have a successful business. Um, so I started thinking about the things I've done in my life. I've done some amazing, crazy, uh, phenomenal things in the boxing ring. Going through Navy SEAL training, Hell Week twice, um, in combat, and and some things in business. The So I had to look at what was the common denominator. Okay, there was more times than I can tell you I was overmatched, and somebody bigger, more experienced than me, and even you know dropped. I fought uh, Tony Suggs right after he won the first berth in the 1988 Olympic trials by knocking out Kenny McKinney, and he dropped me the first punch he hit me with, and I got back up, and I went at him like the house is on fire, right? And at the end of the fight, when they raised his hand, we were both surprised, um, and I just went, I've been robbed more times than I can tell you, and I just looked at him and said, "We know who won, don't we, Tony?" Right? And to this day, he calls me champ. He's a pastor, and we communicate all the time on Facebook. And then there's, you know, I going through SEAL training twice, right? The second time I remember sitting there with tent waiting for breakout, going, what was I thinking? Why am I doing this? But it started, and I was in it, and then by Wednesday, I knew that once I made it through Wednesday, they couldn't get me out of there with a gun. My motivation was through the roof. Everybody else was dragging, and here I am smiling and excited, getting around. And then in combat, I I'm running up this runway. There was a lag coming off the boats, and I was a little guy. I weighed 140 pounds. I was carrying 110 pounds of bullets, water, and radio, and there was a 60-yard gap between me and a couple other guys and the rest of our platoon. And in between, there was a firefight going on. And I'm running. I had 110 pounds of bullets, water, and radio on my back. And I'm thinking, okay, the guys to my right are my guys. I knew them all. I was pretty sure they weren't going to shoot me. So I just high step and run as fast as I could. I remember the bullet snapping past my head and skipping across the asphalt in front of me. And I remember thinking, I didn't stop or slow down or hesitate. I remember made a conscious effort to pick my feet up higher and faster, right? And, you know, my first phone sales job, the manager, venture capital, uh, the manager's Joel Tapia says, gave me a stack of leads, said, there's a phone, there's a desk. And I looked at that phone like it was a warm cow pie. I didn't want to touch it. But I thought, they can't shoot me through the phone. So I just got busy. Smiling down, I averaged like 200 phone calls a day. And then, another case in the boxing room, fighting in the Alabama Golden Gloves. The whole division, the whole weight class was full of ringers. Nobody expected anything out of me. I'm thinking, I don't have anything to lose. And so I didn't care who won the trophy. I was just going to kick somebody's butt. And I went at him with everything. I threw everything but the kitchen sink, right? And I won. And I had lost 10 of my first 12 fights, and then I won the Golden Gloves, right? So what was the common denominator? I got to a point where I looked at where I was at, and if I did nothing, I had to determine whether if I did nothing, was I going to be better off than if I would if I if I went for it and failed. And usually it was the case where even if I made the attempt and failed, I would still be about the same as where I was at. So I may as well do something, right? I kind of think of it like Bill Cosby had a video or a party tape, 200 miles an hour. On the flip side, he talked about how parents talk to their kids. He heard this mom in a grocery store telling this little boy, "I'm going to beat you within an inch of your life." Imagine that. Beat somebody to death and stop that far. Okay. Once you've been this close to death once in your life, anything less than that is nothing. Okay. That's why Tony Robbins has people do the fire walk, right? After walking across hot coals, making sales calls is a breeze. So when you're talking to people and they get all excited at first because they're seeing the possibility to have those things that they want. And then when you go back and talk to them and they're kind of flat and they're wishy-washy and non-committal, they forgot that what they want, and they're not realizing that if they just stay where they're at, they're going to still be. If they try and fail, they're not going to be any worse off. Okay, and you got to remind them why they're doing it. All right, I practice.